All right, guys, happy Saturday morning. So what I'm going to do is do a couple things, but title of this thing is James Lightning Wilkes Gets It Wrong Again. And we're going to talk about that. But first, a couple other stuff. So for several years now, I've been saying that I think the RDAs don't apply equally to all populations depending on what diet they eat. And some people have said, well, Dr. Baker, you're crazy, man. That's crazy talk. 2007, Institute of Medicine reviewed the dietary reference indices, or the RDAs, and they basically said, hey, look, the RDAs are based on expert opinion. This is the lowest level of evidence possible. Some guy spouting off about what the RDA should be. That's in the record. I've been saying that a RDA that is based upon grain-eating, high-carb populations may not apply to people that only eat a carnivore diet. That's my hypothesis. I think it's based on pretty decent evidence, but a lot of people said dismiss that. You got to get the RDA for everything. So the debate with James Wilkes triggered Dr. Chris Masterjohn to comment on the whole debate, and you should go read his thread because he kind of shows that Wilkes was kind of basically full of it, which is what I've said anyway. But towards the end of that thing, he talks about anti-nutrients, and this is his little Twitter tweet, and he says that unfortunately at 219 the entire panel agrees that people who talk about anti-nutrients in food don't know what they're talking about, i.e. guys like me. This includes major organizations of our scientific consensus, such as World Health Organization and the National Academy is Medicine. And so he goes on to say, in reference 89, is that the paper is to a World Health Organization algorithm that takes into account phytate, anti-nutrient, and ascorbic acid in predicting our iron absorption. And so that they are now using some of those things to say that, certain increased amounts of food or compounds are interfering with mineral absorption. This is another thing. The RDA for zinc lists vegetarianism and alcohol intake as its only entries under special consideration, which means if you're a vegetarian or vegan or an alcoholic, you need to change your RDAs, guys, because you're eating too many anti-nutrients or the alcohol is preventing you from absorbing stuff. Another one, according to the DRI report written in 2001, the requirement for dietary zinc may be as much as 50% greater for vegetarians, and particularly for strict vegetarians whose major food staples are grains and legumes, and whose dietary phytate zinc molar ratio exceeds 15:1. He goes on to say that, in a couple more tweets, that at this time, there are not sufficient data to set algorithms for establishing dietary requirements for zinc on the basis of presence of concentration of other nutrients and food components. 7 years later, the models were developed to revise the next RDA for phytate intake, doubling it for 1,000 milligrams of phytate and tripling it for 2,000 milligrams of phytate. So if you're eating all these beans and legumes, guess what, guys? Your requirements for nutrients goes up. If you're not eating them, you're eating a meat-based diet, those things go down. This is what I've been saying the whole time. This is why I'm not getting scurvy or any other vitamin deficiency, okay? So, here's another thing. So I talked about this with James Lightning Wilkes, and I talk about this in general. When we have mechanistic data, that's nice, that's cute, that's all okay, that's very much, doesn't mean you can translate it into the big picture. Like I said, it either happens or it doesn't. Look what happens at the end of the day with people, their actual results, okay? And so I don't care who I'm talking to. I care about results. I care about what's happening to people. Okay? So let's talk about another topic that is sort of a bit controversial within the carnivore community itself. And there's some people saying that methionine glycine ratio, man, you got to be eating extra collagen. You got to be taking collagen supplements, because if you're eating muscle meat, your methionine is going to be too much. You're going to have elevated levels of homocysteine, and my God, that's going to give you increased risk for cardiovascular disease. This is, again, based on mechanistic data largely garnered in rat studies, okay? What happens to actual human beings that eat muscle meat and don't eat the extra collagen? So there's this sort of fantasy belief that, based on some peasant woman in China that was making tendon soup, that we loved eating these chewy tendons, and that's what we did, and we always did that, and all these poor societies that valued the animal and they ate every single part of it. That's a nice story, and I agree. what happens when you've got a sufficiency of meat? What happens if you're a Gravettian mammoth hunter 30,000 years ago? You got 6,000 pounds of meat, and you got the same jaw structure as I do, and you got the same taste buds that I do, and you have the same taste preferences I do, and I like eating steaks, and maybe I've got 6,000 pounds of meat, and there's another mammoth, 2 miles away if I want to kill another mammoth, so I got all the meat I want. Maybe I'm just going to eat the stuff that I like and not eat the asshole and eat the eyeball and eat the penis and chew on the toenails. Maybe I'm not going to do that. I don't know. That's speculation. Okay, so let's just assume we can assume there's sufficiency and there's subsistence. In subsistence, you eat every damn calorie you can get. So yeah, you're boiling the tendons, you're eating the eyeballs, you're eating the asshole. You're gobbling on that stuff. If it's sufficiency, like I have, right? I got sufficiency. I live in modern America. I can go to the grocery store and pick up a steak. I'm going to eat sufficiency, right? So, but what does the science say on methionine, glycine, and what do we know? So this guy, Atli Arneson, PhD out of University of Iceland. He's a PhD in nutrition. He wrote a recent article talking about methionine versus glycine. Is too much muscle meat bad? And this is written back in February 2019 this year. And so he goes on to say, in the online health community, there has been a lot of speculation that high intake of methionine along with too little glycine may promote disease by causing an imbalance in your body. All right, that's the theory. Simply put, evidence is lacking to suggest that a diet high in muscle meat increases base levels of homocysteine in healthy people. Though homocysteine is a product of methionine metabolism, dietary methionine intake is generally not the cause of elevated base homocysteine levels. The underlying cause of elevated homocysteine levels involves the body's inability to keep it within healthy range. These include nutrient deficiencies, unhealthy lifestyles, habits, diseases, and genetics. Summary: high dose of supplemental methionine may increase base levels of homocysteine. On the other hand, eating muscle meat only leads to a temporary increase in homocysteine levels that subsides soon afterwards. Just like the James Wilkes, there's temporary hypertriglyceridemia after a fat meal. So what? There's temporary endothelial changes after a protein meal. So what? What is the end of the day result? What do we see in carnivores eating muscle meat diets? What I've seen, and again, I've seen access of lots of labs on this stuff, most often the time is homocysteine levels are completely fine. And so, somebody will say, well, you can do another test to look at the amino acid levels in the blood. That's expensive. It's unnecessary. What we're looking for is, are you coming off your medications? Are you getting healthier? Are you getting leaner? Are you getting stronger? Is your digestion better? Are your joints hurting less? So on and so forth. So this speculation about this rat study shows that maybe your methionine glycine level may be out of whack. Let's look at another study that's also, I think, germane to this particular topic. So there was a study that was done in 1971, I want to say. Gosh, it's been a long time ago. But it talks about this very topic. And what they show, and I'll see if I can. Okay, study behind me talks about what happens to human beings. This was done in Zambians, and they did some, I don't know if they could reproduce this study. I guess they cannulated their jejunum, and they infused glucose and galactose, and they looked at glycine absorption. They saw that in the presence of glucose and galactose is one of the sugars found in lactose, right? So in the absence of glucose or galactose, glycine absorption goes up significantly. So if you eat glucose and galactose, it cuts the glycine absorption by half. So if you don't have glucose that you're ingesting or galactose, and you get that from milk, and you're just eating meat, guess what? Glycine absorption is at least doubled. So we've got another thing that shows that we can't infer data from rats eating rat chow or even humans eating a mixed diet. Again, special population, special results. Can you just survive on muscle meat? Look, setting world records here, guys. I'm still kicking ass at 50, 52, almost 53. And the longest people on the carnivore diet, Joe Charlene Anderson, 21 years, nothing but muscle meat, guys. Come on, let's go with the results instead of speculation. Let's go with results instead of people who want to sell you a supplement. Okay? You know, I'm happy to provide you guys steaks, but I'm not going to get into this unnecessary supplement stuff. All right, let's get on to James Lightning Wilkes, where he got it wrong. So, in the podcast, James goes on to say, you know, when he's debating Chris Kresser, he's talking about the only reason you're getting B12 is because the animals are supplemented. You know, the animals can't get B12 from their environment. You know, the reason those animals have B12 in their muscle meat is because they've been getting a B12 supplement, right? That is his sort of inference here. That, you know, the best way to is just take the B12 supplement yourself, right? Don't eat animals, just take the B12 supplement, just like humans have been doing since, well, B12 was discovered in 1948, I think, right? This doesn't jive. So, I mean, it's just garbage. He's suggesting to all of humanity the best way to get B12 is to take a B12 supplement. Here you go. Eat more fucking meat, dudes. You know, Americans eat 2.4 ounces of beef a day. That's a tiny amount. Eat a pound of beef a day. You got no issues with B12. I guarantee it. Every carnivore I see sees B12 levels that are often above the reference range. So just eat more meat, guys. Okay. So what do ranchers say about B12 supplementation? Because he showed this product that some ranchers will give to their cows, and the assumption from that, or the implication that I believe he's trying to make, was that, yeah, all these animals are getting B12 supplements, so the only reason that you're getting B12 from those animals is that they're getting supplements. So is that true or is it not? So let's hear from some ranchers. So Cross Creek Farms saw my comments on that and said, tough to listen to that podcast. He was so annoying and obviously struggled to prove himself over the evidence Chris uses. I don't get why Joe thinks vegan did so well. By the way, I'm a rancher. We don't give B12, and I don't know a rancher who does. We do chickens, pigs, and a lot of beef cattle. None of our animals get given a B12 supplement. I've also never even heard of it in the industry, let alone it being common practice. All right, well, that's one guy. Anybody else? James Arcombe, 1965. We never give B12 supplements to our sheep either. Taraj Berman. I've never heard of any ranchers giving B12 either. I had to look it up because I do not, and no one I know does it. We got Ryder and Crook. That's BS. I live in Vermont where there are farms everywhere. And I've spoken with numerous farm owners about their animals. Visit many farms. Well, none of them get supplements or any other extra weirdness. Many animals don't even have much human contact. They stay out in the fields, grazing. Bill's by Beth. Our animals, pigs, chickens, and turkey, only get a dewormer, if that. Nicholas. When we were kids, we always said when someone spoke out of their ass, i.e. James Wilkes, they're city kids. They never know fuck all about anything, let alone what we feed our cattle, pigs, and chicken. In fact, we never gave any supplements, only some grass, hay, and some oats. Orincha 17, raised poultry for 5 years, did it on the nat. We had great results. Healthy big birds roaming in the landscape freely. Closest thing to medication I got was occasional apple cider vinegar and brown sugar. Did 4 years of research prior to opening a farm, and not once did anyone mention giving a B12 supplement. Gaines of the Valkyrie. Raised goats and sheep and cows growing up. Never gave a dose of vitamin B12. Future 4200. I don't know how my cattle are still alive. 5 years. Never a single B12 supplement. Finally, Roslyn 9 commented, yep, another pig farmer here. Never heard of a B12 supplement. So, is there a situation where a B12 supplement may be given? I've seen some ranchers say, if my animal is sick, I might give them a B12 supplement. But it is not standard practice. It's not how animals get B12 supplements. There may be some ranches where their soil is so depleted where that's the case. And more often than not, they're giving a cobalt supplement, not a B12 supplement. So, Wilkes is full of it. Just because that product exists doesn't mean it's widely used everywhere, okay? And it doesn't mean you can't get B12 from animals even today, because that's what's currently happening. And so if you want to get B12, the best solution is not taking pills, which these vegans love to do. Just eat friggin' food. Eat enough damn meat, okay, guys? All right. Go by results. Don't listen to people with their mechanistic stuff. Don't fall for the supplement salesman. Follow what happens to your body, guys, okay? It's all about results. It's all about winning. We got to stand up to these wackos that want to feed us supplements, that want to feed us processed food, that want to make us go on a plant-based diet. James Wilkes says he does research determining the best diet for athletes, and he comes up with a vegan diet. The guy's so full of shit. I mean, it's clearly not the best way to be an athlete. Clearly not. Can you be an athlete doing a vegan diet? Yes, you can. Is it the best, most optimal way? Hell no, it's not. All right, guys. You guys have a great day. We'll talk to you later.